Dreams are not necessarily goals. What they point to is what's important underneath the dream. And so what happens too often is we listen to somebody's dream and kind of imagine how that's not possible. And people feel us kind of stop them from dreaming. So it's important to just be open to the dream and then later on figure out what could you do that would be consistent with that dream.
We often refer to the dream as the North Star. And that's the star up in the sky that, I don't know much about sailing, but that sailors use to set the direction for where they're going to go. And so we think of the dream maybe not so much as something that you'll ever get to, but it's what you use to set your direction for where your life is going to go.
Mi sami, dakle mi koji smo tu učesnici, trebamo promijeniti kod sebi taj način razmišljanja i osloboditi si taj neki prostor gdje ne bi trebalo biti granica. Ta promjena se treba dogoditi. Posebno zbog toga što mi kad se vratimo na svoje radna mjesta, mi to moramo prenijeti nekome drugome, mi moramo i druge ljude uvjeriti da je to pravi pristup, ok pristup, jel? I tu nam je vjerojatno barijere zbog toga što znamo da će tamo biti opet nekakvih teškoća.
This is about a deep belief that all people, regardless of ability or race or religion or anything else, all people should have equal opportunity in the world. And too often in our experience, people who have the label of an intellectual disability don't have those same kind of opportunities. So what this is about is helping people think through how they can support people who have been marginalized in society to be seen as people who bring gifts and talents and value to the world and the community around them. So today, we're going to do your map.
Dakle, danas ćemo raditi mapu za tebe.
And we're going to start by talking about some stories about you as a person, about times the people who love you have shared with you. And these will be stories that tell us something about who you, Martina, is.
The graphic work that we do is 85% listening and 15% putting mark on the page. So it's the listening part that is the most moving. You know, trying to hear so that you can see what somebody might want or so that you can see what was important in their life. And it's that kind of listening that actually is just deeply moving, no matter who the person is. Whether it's the smartest person in the world or it's the person who's most isolated. When you listen in that way, it's just moving.
Možda bijeg iz grada, iz gužve. Možda, iako nisam u gradu, ja sam u periferiji.
Ne bi bio okružen, ne bi bilo okruženje ljudi bi bilo isto. Znači, definitivno bi to bio moj muž, moja djeca i moji prijatelji.
Grad i mjesto.
Mjesto bi bilo na moru.
Što bi željela promijeniti u svom? Točno. Ko sam ja i to.
Slobodno vrijeme, free time.
People get overwhelmed with thinking about big change, but we actually believe that you can actually start to make the change happen by paying attention to one person at a time. And when you do that, you start to see all the things that need to change. You start to realize that people have been taken away from their families, have no one in their life, and you start to realize how painful that must be. And you start to realize that people actually want to be loved and want to be valued and want to contribute. And you start to say, wow, what can we do about that?
Osoba kod mene je osoba 70 i nešto godina, preko 50 godina je u ustanovi i nema više nigdje nikoga. Apsolutno nikoga. Šta ako njezin san ide u smjeru toga ostavite me tu gdje jesam?
If you only know one thing, it's hard to dream of anything beyond that one thing. So I think a big part of what we need to do is help people explore what some of those possibilities are so they have the opportunity to dream beyond just what they know. The other thing I'd be curious about is if her dream is to be at the institution, what is it about the institution that she likes? Because I'd look at what is it that makes her feel safe, or what is it that makes her feel happy, or why is it that she wants to be there? Our dream is typically not a building or a place. There's things that mean to us, and that's what our dream is. So finding out what that means to her. Our job is to help make sure that they're able to fully explore all the options. Because if your dream is based on knowing just one thing in comfort, you're not really free to dream.
Many of the people who work in large institutions, it's not about them being bad people for what they do or don't do. It's actually about the world's designed that way to not believe that this person would have a hope or a dream or a desire or a longing for love and belonging and value and all that. It's set up to be that they don't have that, which is a false premise of being human. And so this gives them a chance to actually see things differently and then say, well, if it's not about the person not being that way, then maybe there's something I can do.
Liliana, what was your experience in doing the graphics?
Ja, iako nisam maher u crkvenju, sam uživala u tim akcijama, da njoj simbolički bar pokaže što će nju podsjetiti i da joj to bude san, da prepozna svoje snove, kako god to na papiru izgledalo.
I think a part of this is, for me, is remembering why we're doing it. And it's not just about completing the plan. That's nice if you do that. But what it's really about is exploring with the person what's important to them. So the goal isn't necessarily within 2 hours to finish a beautiful plan. Though if that happens, that's a great thing. But the goal is in that whatever time you have for people to come together around this person who care about this person to explore who the person is, what's important to them, and what's going to help them have a good life.
So what we would like you to do is give us, like every day we ask you, what's your closing thought for the day, or word or phrase for the day? So,
Danas je svaki dan.
Pa meni je nekakva ključna riječ, recimo stvaranje potencijala, koliko je to moguće.
Fasciniralo me kako crtež može ispričati priču.
Pretinačujuće kako na izgled tako malo, a puno toga pokazuje.
A ja sam jako tužna jer jako imam u glavi sve svoje štićenike kojima sam radila i znam da za njih možda toliko ili toliko bi neko došao u grupu i nešto lijepo o njima mogao reći, a pola od toga što sam pokazala koji bi preuzeli na sebe dio akcije, u bilo kojoj akciji da smislite, zbog toga sam tužna.
And I just want to thank Lydia for sharing that. I mean, that's a very real thing that you shared about the reality of what people's lives are and what it's moving you to think about. And I think that's really profound. Thank you.
I know that in some of the stories there was that sense of losing people we love was one of our things that we were most frightened of or worried about, or being alone. And for many of the people that we get to meet, they've already lived that experience. So they actually are much more comfortable with speaking about or expressing this because they already live it. In fact, it becomes freeing to actually put it out there. But what we really hope and what we actually see that the MAP process has done in people's lives is that it moves other people to do something.